You're watching Good Morning Suncoast at 6.
So don't tell me the drones are dropping off supplies to the bad guys.
It was only a matter of time, folks. Yes, it's genius when you think about it. Terrible idea.
Drones being misused.
Yes, for all the things that they do good.
Gosh,
We're going to have a story about drones going wrong later on this morning.
Off to a foggy start on this first day of spring
Very
break.
much.
John Scully, what do you have for us later on, though?
Yeah, absolutely right. Fog this morning, but then everything's going to clear out and it looks like it's going to be a beautiful day today. Even though we do have a front that's sinking southward, moving through our area, it's really not going to trigger off much in the way of weather. Richard in Northport comes in with 56 degrees. Becky in Old-Mayaca comes in with 50 degrees at her location. This is the Lakewood Ranch webcam. You can see the lights in the distance of the city there, and watch as we put it into motion. Starting off at 1 o'clock this morning, the last few frames show exactly what we're talking about. Dense fog in some locations. It kind of ebbs, flows, comes, goes. In some locations, you'll find it very thick, and then, a half an hour later, it won't be quite as thick. So a quarter-mile visibility right now being reported in Punta Gorda and in the Sarasota airport. Some places it's a little thicker, some places hardly a problem at all. So watch for that this morning. We'll call it a first alert weather morning simply because of that increased risk of denser fog. The line of clouds you see just to our north, that's a cold front sinking south, but temperatures right now are anything but cold, coming in about where they should be for this time of year in the lower 60s. We'll have the complete forecast for you, and you're going to like it, coming up in just a few.
All right, good to hear. Good timing for that. All the kids out of school. Traffic right now showing not a lot except the usual on State Road 70 in the eastbound lane around Lockwood Ridge Road. Also an accident, if we can click on that, up north by the Ellington Outlet Mall. We'll find out more about that at 301 and 75. 51st Avenue, a lane blocked at 301, so be aware of that if you are in that vicinity north of the river. Let's go to the northern half now of Sarasota County. Look to your far left there, a little blip on Longboat Key. Very rare to see congestion out there. Maybe there's some construction going on in the southbound lane around Harborside Drive. That's the Longboat Key Club by the Publix. And we'll check farther south now. A little blip there around 41 both directions between Venice and South Venice. It is spring break all this week, so let's take a live look at the Siesta Key Beach sign, where there is still plenty of parking to be had right now.
There is plenty of parking. Get out there, get your spot right now. You're going to need it. You're going to wish you did that later on this afternoon. But it is going to be a beautiful day out there today.
Yeah, it should be a great week as well for the kids, so that's good. 6:03 right now this Monday morning.
That's right. So how will new school security changes proposed by Governor Rick Scott work here in districts around the Suncoast?
Let's get details on that from Marla Spence, who is live at the Sarasota County School District headquarters. Marla?
Well, after Governor Rick Scott signed the Marjorie Douglas Public Safety Act, Sarasota County schools have until June 1st to make a decision on a security safety program. But the sheriff's office is urging and asking school officials to make a decision by today. Now, according to the sheriff's office, two options were presented to the district. Today, Sheriff Tom Knight is expecting an answer from the district on which plan should be implemented in the Sarasota County schools. Knight is urging the school district to make their selection so that the appropriate funding could be incorporated into the sheriff's office budget. Also, with either option, 14 new deputies would have to be hired and trained and also recruited at least 12 to 18 months before working at any school. We spoke to the Sarasota Sheriff Tom Knight, and this is what he had to say about the new statewide law to help schools remain safe.
This law is etched in stone. There is no wiggle to the law. They've got to accept it, that the rules of engagement have changed with this type of laws, and that the governor is not asking the school districts to get law enforcement on these campuses. He's telling the school district to get law enforcement officers on these campuses.
Coming up at 6:30, we're going to be telling you more on the two options that were presented to the school district by the sheriff's office and how much exactly it could be costing the district and also the sheriff's office. Reporting live in Sarasota, I'm Marla Spence for ABC 7, your Suncoast News.
Thank you, Marla. So what are all those changes involving? Well, schools across Florida are getting specific instructions on what changes need to be made to upgrade those security procedures. Governor Scott sent a letter to school superintendents and school board members. It details his expectations for school security upgrades and also includes a timeline. By May 1st, the Florida Department of Education will hire a director for its newly created Office of Safe Schools. July 1st, superintendents must designate a district school safety specialist. September 1st, each district must have established a threat assessment team that will meet monthly to discuss any potential threats to teachers, students, or to the school itself. Now, all of those upgrades are part of the state's response to that shooting of 17 students and staff members at Stoneman Douglas High School in Broward County in February. Now for the latest on all of these school changes as well, breaking news plus your up-to-the-minute first alert forecast, just head over to our app. You can find it in the store under WWSB or My Suncoast.
On to other news now. In support of Britain, President Trump may expel Russian diplomats in the U.S. This comes after the poisoning of a former Russian spy in England. The UK expelled 23 Russian diplomats after concluding Russia was responsible, and 10 additional European countries announced they'll also expel Russian diplomats on their soil, and President Trump could make a similar decision as soon as this morning.
Well, Stormy Daniels is breaking her silence and maybe a confidentiality agreement. In her much-anticipated interview with 60 Minutes last night, Daniels says she had consensual sex with President Trump only once back in 2006. The interview comes 2 months after the Wall Street Journal broke the news of a $130,000 payment made to Daniels by Trump's attorney in exchange for her silence. ABC's Serena Marshall has the recap from last night.
Back in Washington solo as the anticipated Stormy Daniels interview made air.
And you had sex with him?
Yes.
You were 27, he was 60. Were you physically attracted to him?
No.
The bombshell 60 Minutes interview follows a confidentiality agreement she signed for $130,000 just days before the 2016 election. But Daniels claims the contract is void because then candidate Trump never signed it. President Trump's personal lawyer, Michael Cohen, acknowledges he paid Daniels the money from a personal home equity line in exchange for her silence, and claims Daniels broke the agreement more than 20 times, making her liable for damages in excess of $20 million.
It was very important to me to be able to defend myself.
Even though in January she issued a statement denying the affair ever happened, she says she did so under pressure.
They made it sound like I had no choice.
And after she received this 2011 threat when trying to go public.
The guy walked up on me and said to me, "Leave Trump alone, forget the story." And then he leaned around and looked at my daughter and said, "It's a beautiful little girl. It'd be a shame if something happened to her mom."
Daniels never specified who she thought was behind the intimidation, but overnight, Cohen's lawyer sent a letter following the interview singling out claims of the physical threat as false and defamatory. Daniels' attorney argues this has less to do with the affair than the cover-up.
It is thuggish behavior from people in power, and it has no place in American democracy.
Cohen insists neither the Trump campaign nor the Trump organization were involved in the payment. It's the timing of that payment to Daniels just days before the election that has raised questions over possible violations of campaign finance laws. Serena Marshall, ABC News, Washington.
Governor Scott has signed the bill that let Florida stay on daylight savings time all year long. The change would translate into later sunrises, which supporters say would benefit the state's tourism industry. However, the Florida Parent Teacher Association is against the change because they say more kids would be going to school in the dark. The Sunshine Protection Act still needs congressional approval. A new Florida law changes the state insurance code to make clear that direct primary care agreements do not go against insurance laws. Under direct primary care agreements, doctors charge patients monthly fees in advance of providing services, with patients then able to access services at no extra cost. The law, however, does not spell out how much can be charged or what services can be included in those agreements.
Well, in the Florida Panhandle, criminals are now using advanced technology to smuggle illegal items behind prison walls. Drones are used for a lot of good things these days. Medical supplies used by emergency responders. But now criminals have found a way to use them for not so legal reasons. A package of contraband covered in grass clippings was recently dropped by a drone at a prison in Northwest Florida. It's one of 2 confirmed drone drops at Florida prisons just within the last month. Officials say drones do pose a new problem for prisons across the country, and corrections departments are trying to stay ahead of that new technology.
They should call me. I'll tell them put nets.
Right. I thought you were going to say, call me and I'll tell you how to do it right.
No. Prisons should just install nets across their courtyards.
This is why we can't have nice things, people, because people always use this stuff for the wrong reasons.
Isn't that true?
Darn it all.
6:10 right now, the latest first alert traffic and...
Flu season is almost in our rear view, but there's a new strain to be aware of before all is said and done. We're going to tell you about that when we come back.
It is spring break today. Here's a live shot from Siesta Key Beach. Pretty shot there of the sign. We'll have more details on the spring break throughout the week, but first, here's a look at today's forecast from John Scalzi.
Looks pretty good for us today. I think we're looking at a little bit of fog this morning. First alert weather morning because of that fog. Dense in places could slow your commute. It did mine. That'll burn off pretty quickly, though, and bring us a mostly sunny afternoon sky, I think. A little bit of fair weather passing clouds, but no rain in the forecast for today. In case you missed it on Friday when the red tide report was updated, we do have one area in the southern parts of the viewing area in Charlotte County, Gasparilla, with some red tide, but for the most part, our area is looking pretty good. Most of the heavier red tide, the larger amounts in the water, are located well to our south, Lee County particularly. Complete forecast in a few.
There's a lot of fear in coming back to school. I'm a 40-year-old man that walked in there to get his high school diploma. It was very hard for me, but one of the teachers was Miss Araceli. She gave me direction. Every single time I had a question, she'll put down whatever she's doing and she'll sit there with you until you get it. 50% of getting your high school diploma is walking through those doors. The other 50% is doing the work.
Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org.
So Matt told me to meet him at 7 a.m. sharp right here. It is now 7:01 a.m. You think Matt would leave without me? Hey, is Matt here?
Long gone.
Long gone.
Just missed him.
Just missed him.
All done.
Mr. Sparky guarantees they're on time and the repair is free, so chop chop.
Call 888-8-SPARKY.
Matt, you started without me.
I finished without you too.
Car experts and customers agree. There's a lot to love about a new Subaru. Subaru is Kelley Blue Book's 2017 most trusted brand, best overall brand, and lowest 5-year cost to own. And Subaru Outback is an IIHS top safety pick for 10 years running. Now lease the most fuel-efficient vehicle in its class, a new Subaru Outback for just $239 a month. Or get 0% financing with 0 down during the Subaru A Lot to Love event. Get more for your money. Go to Sunset Subaru in Sarasota.
Every time you purchase a fishing license or register your boat, you're helping to preserve our nation's coastlines, lakes, rivers, and streams, protecting memories for generations to come. Learn how your participation in boating and fishing can help the environment at takemefishing.org/conservation.
One of the motivating factors for me to become a Big Brother was that I was mentored as a youth. And it was important for me to kind of pass forward the things that were kind of given to me. It's really just as simple as getting to know a kid. You don't have to be an athlete. You don't have to be rich. You don't have to have any of those other things. You just have to be willing to spend a little time and help mold some young person's life.
Download the all-new ABC 7 First Alert Weather app now. Now your ABC 7 First Alert Weather Forecast with meteorologist John Scalzi.
So we're watching pretty decent weather evolve here on the Suncoast, but there is the potential for some dense fog across some of our area, especially along the coastline. So do watch for that this morning. 61 degrees in Wauchula, Myakka, Parrish coming in at 62, so is Bradenton Lakewood Ranch. Sarasota's at 62, Venice at 62, and Inglewood at 63. Why such uniform temperatures? Well, because our temperature has pretty much hit the dew point in most locations. And what that means is that it just can't get any colder. And so we're looking at temperatures that are kind of uniform. Now, as far as the 24-hour temperature change between this time yesterday morning and today, we're looking in most places pretty much average for this time of year and pretty much where we were 24 hours ago. Some locations are a little bit warmer. Wauchula coming in 7 degrees warmer, in fact. Some places a little bit cooler, as is Inglewood and Punta Gorda. But on balance, just about the same as yesterday morning. By 9 a.m. we'll hit 65 degrees. The fog will have lifted. We'll have a little bit of that low-hanging cloud mixing away into mostly clear skies. And then as we head into the afternoon, I think there'll be plenty of sunshine around with a few passing banks of clouds. On balance, we'll call it a sunny to partly sunny day. And those clouds, I don't think will do anything to obscure the copious amounts of sunshine that you're going to see today. 3 p.m. temperature will reflect all that sunny sky, coming in at 81 degrees. And I really don't see any problem with the evening as well. Beautiful sunset in store for us with a 74-degree temperature for your evening beach walk. As far as the forecast goes, well, we have a frontal boundary sinking southward. Backdoor cold front. What that will do will kick up a few clouds from time to time. Those clouds will pass by, but really there'll be plenty of holes in the clouds, and we're not going to see much in the way of any kind of rainfall today. Now, maybe in the afternoon you might get an isolated pop of rainfall in inland areas, but it's not going to be all that thick, and it certainly will not be a big problem for any spring breakers today. In fact, the week ahead looks pretty dry, I would say. If you are traveling toward the other coast, more likely you'll get some rain showers over there. But for us, I think we're looking pretty quiet. Here are the showers that are occurring with that backdoor cold front that I was talking about. But locally, as I mentioned, everything's dry out there, just got that fog problem. A frontal boundary kind of meanders through the deep south, kind of hooking up with a cold front. High pressure to the north of that builds in. As it builds in, it pushes that front through our area. And as the front pushes through our area, our winds draw down some slightly drier, less humid air. That'll occur by tomorrow, particularly on Wednesday, I think. You'll notice the lower humidity. Should feel pretty good. For beach and boating, well, the winds may pick up just a little bit during the second half of the day. Watch for them to come in at about 15. That'll bring you a light chop, increasing to a chop, mostly choppy, a choppy condition on bay and inland waters, and the seas will run around 2 feet. So not a bad day for boating. Look for 81 for a high today, tomorrow as well. Maybe a little more sunshine around tomorrow. Maybe a little bit of drier air filtering in, reducing humidities for several days. 78 degrees on Wednesday, and then as we head into Thursday and Friday, nice days, but on Friday, clouding up a little with a chance of a rain shower. As another front moves in, that front stalls and brings us another chance of rain showers on Saturday. And then everything kind of washes out, and high pressure builds in and leads to a beautiful Sunday. Back to you.
Thanks, John. We like the words of all of that forecast out there. Right now, let's take a look at your first alert traffic out there this morning. Let's start in Manatee County. Those roads are looking pretty okay so far this morning. Starting to see some slowdowns on 301 as well as State Road 64. If you're heading into Sarasota County, those roads are looking pretty good out there. Starting to see your typical slowdowns on University Parkway as well as Fruit Ridge, and a little bit right there on Bee Ridge Road as well. And then if you're heading a little bit farther in the county, those roads are looking pretty decent so far. No real blips on the radar. At this moment, it is 6:19, and that is your first alert traffic.
Where exactly is Fruit Ridge, by the way?
I make them up as I go.
Very entertaining. Flu season is winding down, but the latest report from the CDC says that the B virus flu is being reported more frequently now than the A strain that was dominant all winter long. As of March 17th, nearly 58% of all confirmed cases of the flu were caused by the B strain. A CDC spokesperson says the B strain flu viruses tend to be more severe for kids. Experts say it's possible for those who have already been sick with the flu to get sick again, so they say you can still get a flu shot while these strains are circulating.
And speaking of getting sick, if you've ever wondered just how likely you are to get sick on your next flight, this new study is not going to help. It shows that it might depend on where you sit in the plane and what you do during the flight. Now, reporter Reed Binion has a closer look at the study and what you should do to avoid catching one of those colds on your next flight.
Stuck at 30,000 feet with just inches of personal space, airplanes can be the perfect incubators for germs and disease. According to a new study in the journal Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, the best way to avoid getting sick is to book a window seat. The study found people with a window seat were less likely to get up to use the restroom or check the overhead bin, meaning that they were less likely to come into contact with germs. Researchers say lavatories are covered in germs since there's usually only 2 of them on a flight of about 150 passengers. Researchers also analyzed passenger movements and studied air samples. They found passengers sitting within 2 seats or 1 row away from a sick person have an 80% chance of catching an illness compared to passengers sitting further away. But for most of the other passengers in the cabin, the risk of catching anything is minimal. Still, you can lower your odds even more by not touching your face and keeping your hands off of the aisle seats. For today's Health Minute, I'm Reed Binion.
And speaking of flights with cooties, the first nonstop flight from Australia to Europe ever took off from Perth, carrying more than 200 passengers and 16 crew members. And this is a long time to sit still. That flight took a whopping 17 hours. The airline used the Boeing 787 Dreamliner for that trip. Now, the Dreamliner is twice as fuel efficient as the Boeing 747 jumbo jet.
Today on the Suncoast, a big sailing event kicks off today. More than 100 of the best sailors in the country will take part in the 2018 Flying Scot Midwinter Championships at the Sarasota Sailing Squadron. About 60 boats will take part in the races on Sarasota Bay. The races will run today through Thursday. It should be a great week weather-wise for all those sailors to be in town.
It is. One more activity for all those spring breakers to do this week. I like it.
Now that baseball is over.
Yes, now the baseball is over.
After today. Still ahead on Good Morning Suncoast.
A family of 4 is dead after a trip to Mexico, but you'd be surprised at the bizarre reason behind their deaths. And Marla?
I'm live at the Sarasota School District, where the Sarasota Sheriff is hoping decision makers here at the school district will make a decision on one of 2 security options for the school district following Governor Rick Scott's signage of the Marjorie Douglas Public Safety Act. What those options are and how much they could be costing is straight ahead.
Peek outside our window and all you see is fog. It's 62 degrees right now and the fog burns off. We should see a nice day. High of 81, mostly sunny. Not too bad for the first day of spring break. You're watching Good Morning Suncoast on ABC 7.
Motor Trend said the new Alfa Romeo Giulia is hands down the best sports sedan you can buy today. And named it the 2018 Motor Trend Car of the Year. Rediscover your passion for driving at Sunset Alfa Romeo of Sarasota.
Need more space in your place? The More Space Place can help with Murphy beds that disappear to reveal a home office, living room, or den. Custom closets with designated areas for your shoes, bags, wardrobe, and accessories. Custom-built entertainment centers, garage storage systems, and more. The More Space Place has 3 showrooms next to Sunny's on US 41 South in Sarasota, on Lakewood Ranch Boulevard just south of State Route 64 in Bradenton, and on Tamiami Trail next to Panera Bread in Port Charlotte. Put more space in your place at the More Space Place.
Dear parents, it's time for a pop quiz. What's the best kind of play for kids? Play that makes us think? Or helps us pretend? Or teaches us rules? Or to be creative? Actually, every kind of play is important because different kinds of play give us different kinds of skills. Help us mix up the ways we play. Okay, class dismissed. Now go play.
Selfless service is the principle that guides Army National Guard soldiers to be ready whenever disaster strikes. They have a stake in the well-being of the neighborhoods where they live and work. They train part-time to be ready to serve at all times. Selfless service. It's what inspires the men and women of the Army National Guard to be part of something greater than themselves. Visit NationalGuard.com to learn more.
Performing on stage takes mental and physical preparation. But one thing I never thought to prepare for was cervical cancer. 91% of cervical cancers are caused by the human papillomavirus, or HPV. The good news is there are vaccines that can protect you or your children from cancer. I survived my cancer, but you can stop cancer before it starts. Talk to your doctor and go to thinkaboutthelink.org to learn more.
when evaluating the Alfa Romeo Stelvio. Car and Driver magazine said every crossover should be this good to drive. We agree. Rediscover your passion for driving at Alfa Romeo of Sarasota.
Some tragic news overseas. At least 64 people have died in a shopping center fire in Russia. The blaze broke out in the top floor of a 4-story building. 70 people, mostly children, are missing as a result of this fire. 20 others were saved. The fire has since been contained, but a criminal case is now open.
All right, next, a family of 4 on a spring break getaway found dead in their condo in Mexico.
ABC's Diane Macedo has the GMA First Look.
This morning's GMA First Look, new concerns over vacation rentals abroad after a family's spring break getaway turned deadly. 41-year-old Kevin Sharp and his wife Amy surprised their 2 children, 12-year-old Sterling and 7-year-old Adriana, with a trip to this beachfront condominium complex in Tulum, Mexico. But when the Iowa family didn't make their return flight home to St. Louis on Wednesday, their loved ones knew something was wrong.
My mother lost her youngest daughter, and she's, like all of us, got the support of everybody rallying around us, and she's doing the best she can.
On Friday, Mexican authorities found the family of 4 dead inside that condo. They say due to asphyxiation by inhalation of toxic gases. And coming up at 7 a.m., we'll have tips on how to stay safe in a vacation rental home. With your GMA First Look, I'm Diane Macedo, ABC News, New York.
Are cream conditioners bringing your hair down? Switch to new Pantene Light as Air Foam Conditioner, full of rich Pro-D nutrients for 100% conditioning, 0% weight. New Pantene Foam Conditioner.
Allergies can stand in the way of enjoying the moment. Break through with Allegra, the fastest non-drowsy allergy relief. In just 1 hour, it starts tackling tough allergy symptoms for 24 hours of relief. Get back to the moment with Allegra.
The new Eau de Parfum Intense. Coco Mademoiselle, Chanel.
I'll be right back. Hi! You think you're probably sober?
Yeah.
But you're thinking about taking the back roads home, just in case. If you're probably sober, then why would you do that? Good choice.
Probably okay isn't okay. If you see a warning sign, stop and call a cab, a car, or a friend.
That's a full glass of wine. I'll be chatting you later.
Each day, researchers make discoveries that bring us closer to the moment when all cancer patients can become survivors. Their progress is made possible with the help of clinical trials. Clinical trials are the brightest torch researchers have to light their way towards better treatments. And if you've been diagnosed with cancer, they may be your brightest ray of hope. Speak with your doctor and visit standuptocancer.org/clinical trials to learn more. Together, we can stand up for all of us.
Okay, so what would you bring to my company?
What do you need?
I need problem-solving skills.
I got through high school without a car, a phone, or a computer.
No college degree, though.
Not yet, but life's taught me a lot, and I'm ready for more.
Well, you're not the typical kind of candidate that I hire. But you are exactly what I'm looking for.
Your company could be missing out on the candidates it needs most. Learn how to find a great pool of untapped talent at gradsoflife.org.
Florida Studio Theater presents Blue Suede Shoes, celebrating the birth of rock and roll. From the father of rock and roll, Chuck Berry, to the king himself, Elvis Presley, this musical review features such great hits as Rock Around the Clock, Mustang Sally, Johnny Be Good, and of course, Blue Suede Shoes. Critics are calling Blue Suede Shoes a burst of rock history, dynamic and high voltage. Audiences are calling it phenomenal. Blue Suede Shoes has been held over by popular demand. Tickets can be purchased by calling 941-366-9000 or by visiting floridastudiotheater.org.
We're losing exotic animals on a daily basis, and the ones that we have in captivity are really the ambassadors for their wild counterparts. I'm Clayton Rozier from the Big Cat Habitat and Gulf Coast Sanctuary, housing over 150 exotic animals that needed a great home. And if you love animals, please help them. Do it locally. Support your local no-kill shelters, your local wild animal sanctuaries. Make a difference where you can.
I used to dread getting up and going to work.
I was done with the corporate grind.
I was tired of being a starving artist.
And I started looking around for a business that I believed in, and I kind of wanted to do something a little more green.
My SCORE mentor helped me take the first step.
He helped me create a business plan and helped me implement it.
They've really taught me how to think big.
SCORE helped me to make the unimaginable possible, all for free. I'm here because of SCORE.
I'm here because of SCORE.
Get your free business mentor at SCORE.org.
ABC 7 News at 7, weeknights.
So the fact that this movement has so many people realizing that it's important to get out to the polls is what I think is one of the best things we've accomplished.
The March for Our Lives movement took center stage this weekend all across the country.
But now, what happens next for federal gun control?
I'm live at the Sarasota School District, where the sheriffs are hoping that school officials make a decision on a security option and plans what those options are. Straight ahead, your Suncoast News starts now.
You're watching Good Morning Suncoast at 6:30.
Good morning to you, and thanks for waking up this morning on Good Morning Suncoast. For those of you that aren't on spring break today, I'm Stephanie Webb.
And if you are on spring break, she is still Stephanie Webb.
Yeah, either way, I'm kind of Stephanie Webb. Are you still Ray Collins?
Either way.
Okay, there you go.
Better or worse. There's some fog out there right now, John Scalzi.
Right.
Yes, there is. And in fact, it's kind of thick in some places, and other places not so much. For instance, here's the Casey Key webcam. Now, you can't see much. There are a few landscape lights, but that's about all you can see. But watch up in the corner, in the upper right corner there near the ABC 7 logo. You'll see the setting moon. And the setting moon, a clear indication that you can see a pretty good distance out there. There's not a lot of fog at Casey Key, but in other locations, the visibility is down to a quarter mile. So that's it, patchy across the area, but dense in some locations. So watch for it. It could come up on you pretty quickly as you commute. Local temperatures are about where they should be for this time of year, coming in the low 60s. But as we head into the afternoon, I think they will be just about at, or maybe even a little bit warmer than average. We'll call it a first alert morning only because of that patchy fog in some locations, which is a little bit on the thick side, but in most locations you'll be just fine. Daytime high temperature today in the low 80s. Complete forecast in a minute.
All right, talk to you soon. Thank you, John. Checking the roads right now on this first day of spring break. Not too much action so far. Some blips there on 301 in the southbound lane around State Road 70. Otherwise pretty clear. Checking the northern half of Sarasota County, more red there on the screen. You'll see University Parkway in the westbound lane around Lockwood Ridge, also Fruitville east of the interstate, Bee Ridge westbound around Beneva heading toward Tuttle. And then our final maps toward the south will show some delays there already on 41 down there by Northport and Warm Mineral Springs. Also an accident we could click on Interstate 75 near Port Charlotte. In case you're down in that direction, southbound at exit 170, be aware of that at Kings Highway. That's the traffic right now at 6:34. Let's take a peek at the Siesta Key scene right now. As expected, pretty quiet.
It is pretty quiet out there this morning, but that is about to get a whole lot different later on this afternoon, and it's going to be a beautiful day. All right, schools across Florida are getting a new three-step plan. What changes need to be made to upgrade school security procedures? Well, Governor Rick Scott sent a letter to school superintendents and school board members. It details his expectations for school security upgrades and also includes a timeline. By May 1st, Florida Department of Education will hire a director for its newly created Office of Safe Schools. July 1st, superintendents must have a designated district school safety specialist. September 1st, each district must have established a threat assessment team that will meet monthly to discuss any potential threats to teachers, students, or staff. Now, those upgrades are part of the state's response to that fatal shooting of 17 students and staff members at Stoneman Douglas High School in Broward County last month. So how will all of the governor's proposed changes work here in districts around the Suncoast?
Marla Spence is live right now from the Sarasota County School District with more on that story. Marla?
Well, Sarasota Sheriff Tom Knight is urging and hoping that the Sarasota County School District makes a decision on one of two school safety programs today, although the district has until June 1st. Now, that first option for security measures in Sarasota County schools would put school resource deputies in 12 remaining unstaffed Sarasota County elementary schools. Deputies would be fully certified and provide mentorship to students. And this program would require hiring 14 additional school resource deputies, which would cost an estimated $2.1 million with a recurring cost of $1.1 million. And the second option would only provide security while school is in session and students are on campus, and deputies would not be required to provide mentorship to students. Also, deputies would work only 10 months out of the year, and that estimated startup for that program would cost the $1.1 million with a recurring cost of more than $920,000. And if selected, this option would save the school district more than $961,000. So it's no word yet on what time a decision could possibly be made on either option, but we will keep you updated on air and online with the latest. Reporting live in Sarasota, I'm Marla Spence for ABC 7, your Suncoast News.
Meantime, in the wake of the historic marches on the Suncoast in Washington and also nationwide this past weekend, the question now is, what effect will those marches have on federal gun laws? ABC's Kenneth Moten has our story.
Overnight, the organizers of the March for Our Lives returned to Parkland, Florida. The students from Stoneman Douglas High School spending their spring break, mobilizing millions across the nation. The students head back to class with new security measures in place today. Only clear backpacks will be allowed, and armed officers will stand at entrances. Their return comes after demonstrations around the country this weekend demanding changes to gun laws. An estimated 800,000 people rallying in Washington. In the wake of the rallies, former Senator and presidential candidate Rick Santorum stirred controversy Sunday when he suggested that instead of pushing for gun reforms, the students should learn how to save lives during an emergency.
How about kids, instead of looking to someone else to solve their problem, do something about maybe taking CPR classes?
Santorum saying he was proud of the students' efforts, but suggested a different approach would be more effective.
They didn't take action to say, how do I, as an individual, deal with this problem? How am I going to do something about stopping bullying within my own community?
The reaction was swift. California Representative Ted Lieu tweeting, "Dear Rick Santorum, CPR is good for heart stoppage, not good for victims of multiple AR-15 bullets." Before the march, the NRA released a series of videos.
These kids ought to be marching against their own hypocritical belief structures. They hate machines that cause death, except, hold on, no, you ain't never going to take their cars away.
Rally organizers say their focus will now turn to voter outreach and getting high school seniors registered to vote.
So the fact that this movement has so many people realizing that it's important to get out to the polls is what I think is one of the best things we've accomplished.
Well, Kenneth Moten, ABC News, New York.
New video has been released now of the man accused of biting and punching Sarasota police officers. This cell phone footage shows a Chad Washington under a police car as officers struggle to put handcuffs on him. He was wanted for a felony warrant. Police believe he was under the influence of the drug called Spice as he punched and bit officers and sent one officer to the hospital for treatment. Washington's fiancée says she originally called EMS for a medical emergency, but Sarasota police arrived instead. She says they tased him, which is why they had trouble making the arrest.
How is somebody going to stop moving if it continuously tasing? And that hurts.
The police department says the video does not tell the entire story. Therefore, Washington remains at the Sarasota County Jail and should be released from the medical unit later on today.
Some cool news for you history buffs out there this morning. Replicas of Columbus ships, the Pinta and the Nina, will land in Venice this Thursday at Fisherman's Wharf Marina. You can take a tour on both the ships from March 29th through April 4th. Those ships are going to be open every day from 9 until 6, but you do have to pay if you want a guided tour. You can learn more about the visit by heading online to our website, mysuncoast.com.
I have seen those, and boy, they are small.
And can you imagine, as long as some of those voyages were, having to stay in that confined space and on some of these ships?
Absolutely.
Wow, craziness.
Before GPS?
Yes, before,
before a lot of things.
Right, before unlimited soda machines. I can't even handle it.
Nice.
Still ahead on Good Morning Suncoast. We've got your latest in Suncoast First Alert weather and traffic and
A major gun manufacturer has filed for bankruptcy. We'll tell you which one and why. But first, a peek at Siesta Key, the nation's top beach. It is spring break. It begins today, and there's a live picture of a sign out there.
There it is. It's going to be a beautiful day on this first start to spring break. Isn't it going to be that, John Scalzi?
Indeed, it will. We'll just get rid of this fog this morning, and after we get rid of the fog, we're looking for a pretty nice day. Fog box checked on the drive time forecast because it is thick in places. Other places, not so bad. Low 60s as you head out the door. When you come back, you'll have upper 70s. So we're headed for a warm afternoon. Complete the forecast for you coming up in just a few.
I just had a very educational ride with Nina.
Did you learn anything?
Where do I begin? So all this stuff goes into a safety check.
Yep.
It's a long list.
It's important stuff.
Test the smoke detector.
Yep.
Check the breaker box.
Yep.
Meter the GFCIs.
Ground fault circuit interrupters.
Why do that?
Call 888-8-SPARKY.
Nina, you make it look easy.
Thanks, but don't do it yourself.
Who's your guy?
I am the resident district manager on the FAU campus for Chartwell. Whenever I see Haley, I do not see a person with a disability. I see a person with extraordinary abilities. Haley is always smiling. She's always on time. She gives fantastic customer service and is always focused on any job that she's given.
Hi, this is Dan Marino. When your business recruits people with disabilities, everybody wins. To find out how, go to disabilitieswork.employflorida.com.
ABC7 is gearing up for this year's JDRF One Walk on Saturday, April 7th at Nathan Benderson Park, and we'd love for you to join us. Hi, I'm Jacqueline Matter, and this is my friend Emma Bella, who lives with type 1 diabetes.
The JDRF One Walk helps raise awareness and funds for kids with type 1 diabetes, and it's fun too.
Walk with us and make a difference.
And help kids like us.
For more information, visit walk.jdrf.org. Soldiers in the Army National Guard serve to give back to their country and communities. Their part-time commitment qualifies them for an array of benefits, such as affordable health and life insurance benefits, education benefits, including tuition assistance, student loan repayment and GI Bill programs, a retirement plan based on part-time service, and VA home mortgages. Visit NationalGuard.com to learn more about all the benefits available in the Army National Guard.
There was this big bruise on my friend's face. I didn't want to see it. I didn't want to think her own nephew could have hit her.
I didn't want to see it. My mother's bank account was emptied, and a caregiver had taken control of it.
I didn't want to see it. My father's refrigerator, there was hardly anything in it. That's unusual for him.
It's tough to see that a senior citizen is being abused, physically, emotionally, sexually, or financially. Elder abuse is a crime.
So see the signs. Stop the crimes. Here's today's job of the day. ABC7 is seeking a news editor with a nonlinear editing background and experience with breaking news and live shots. Visit mysuncoast.com/job of the day to apply. Now your ABC7 First Alert Weather Forecast with meteorologist John Scalzi.
So temperatures are holding just about where we would normally find them at this time of year, in the lower 60s. That's pretty uniform from inland areas to coastal regions, and the reason for that is our temperatures have pretty much hit the dew points in most locations, so can't lower any more than that. We've kind of bottomed out and can't get any lower than the dew point values, so that's where we'll hold until we start to warm things up just a little bit as dawn breaks. Across the region, there are pockets of some denser fog along the coastline, so just be careful of that as you're driving along the area this morning. That should burn off pretty quickly by about 9 o'clock or so. Temperatures, depending on where you are generally running anywhere from slightly above average to slightly below average. So on balance, a pretty typical kind of morning, I think. Fog lifts. Then we'll get some partly cloudy skies to start off the morning. 9 a.m. we'll have a few clouds around with a temperature of about 65. As we head into the afternoon, a lot of that cloudiness is going to mix away and we'll be left with some little sunshine, lots of sunshine actually, as we head into the second half of the day. 81 degrees, we'll call it by around 3 p.m., so it should be a beautiful high UV index afternoon at the beaches. And then 74 degrees by about 7 p.m. should be a nice sunset as well. There's a frontal boundary sinking southward through the area. That frontal boundary is a backdoor cold front coming at us from the east, heading to the southwest, or to the west, southwest. And as we'll see, there'll be banks of clouds that move through. At times, it'll look like kind of a cloudy sky, but then we'll see the holes in the clouds start to build. We'll see periods of complete sunshine around, and that'll be the case till we get that frontal boundary through here and some drier air begins to settle in. The forecast doesn't call for much in the way of any rain showers. Don't really see that happening, but I wouldn't be shocked if in an inland location you might see an isolated brief shower, but nothing really heavy, certainly nothing that'll bother our spring breakers today, I don't think. The cloud cover kind of gives way to lots of sunshine by the time we work into tomorrow, and that drier air from the north begins to filter in. You can see some of the rain showers that are being produced by this frontal boundary, particularly to the north of us. Heading to Daytona Beach or Jacksonville beaches today, it's not going to be the best of weather. There will be some scattered showers around over there. Locally, things look pretty quiet. Actually, if you're going to spring break at a beach, this is the place to do it because the weather is really going to cooperate, I think, along the west coast of Florida. The high-pressure ridge back to the north of us is sinking southward, and that's what's taking this frontal boundary and pushing it southward through the state. It'll kind of fall apart as it moves through, producing a few east coast showers. We don't see much in our area, but what will happen will be as that front kind of dissipates away, some drier air will work its way in. So the relative humidities are going to start to fall tomorrow, and particularly on Wednesday, I think. Should lead to a beautiful week, warm week, with dry air moving in, and perhaps a shower this weekend, but not until then. The work week looks absolutely beautiful, I think. Highs will not be affected all that much by this cold front moving through here, but the dew point values, which to the north of us are in the 50s, will be lowered a little bit across our region where they are now in the 60s. And remember, the dew point is the measure of just how much moisture and how humid the air feels. So when you drop it down into the 50s, feels pretty good. So nice day ahead. Northeast wind coming in at about 10, kind of surging a little bit in the afternoon, go with a light chop, becoming a little bit more choppy as we head into the evening and overnight. 81 today, 81 tomorrow, but more sunshine and slightly drier air in place. Wednesday the same with a daytime high just a degree or two cooler. We rebound on Thursday back to 81, and Friday and Saturday, perhaps a slight chance at a shower as a frontal boundary stalls over us and washes away. Sunday looks great. Daytime high of about 81. Back to you.
All right, thanks, Don. Let's take a look outside to your first alert traffic. We are starting to see a little bit more congestion as the morning goes on. Starting to see some congestions on the bridges as you're headed into Bradenton, as well as 301 and State Road 70. Some blips in there as well, as Ray Collins likes to call them. If you're heading into North Sarasota County, those roads are looking pretty decent around there this morning. University Parkway and Bee Ridge Road are already starting to see some slowdowns this morning. If you're heading a little bit farther south in that county, the roads down there are looking pretty decent. Some slowdowns on 41 by Venice, but other than that, not too much going on right now. There is one little accident that is on 75 that I want to let you know about. It's in the southbound lane. There's an accident at exit 170, County Highway 769, which is also Kings Highway, so be on the lookout for that one as well. It is 6:48, and that is your first alert traffic. And speaking of traffic, rising gas prices may put a little dent in your spring break budget. The average price of regular unleaded gas shot up 7 cents a gallon over the past 2 weeks, and that price is expected to rise. The national average now stands around $2.66 a gallon, which is more than the average price for gas here in Sarasota right now. Gas Buddy reports that Sarasota's average price for regular gas is about $2.49 a gallon. Now, those gas prices rising are blamed on rising crude oil prices.
New this morning, one of the nation's oldest gun makers is filing for bankruptcy. The filing will allow Remington to stay in business while restructuring its $700 million debt. This might sound counterintuitive, but fewer people are buying guns under the Trump administration because consumers are no longer driven by fears of restrictive gun control. Victims of the Sandy Hook massacre, by the way, in Connecticut sued Remington for its AR-15 style rifle. Remington plans to keep on making guns. They're based in North Carolina, and they were founded back in 1816. That's an old company. Up next, we'll update the day's top news headlines and the top 7 before 7.
And we're going to take a look at your first alert weather as we start the spring break week and traffic as you get ready for your day.
Here's a peek outside our window. All we see is fog right now on the lens. 62 degrees right now. We should see a high of 81. Mostly sunny skies for this, the first day of spring break. You're watching Good Morning Suncoast on ABC 7.
Get to Sunset Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Sarasota for big savings during the spring sales event and shop the area's largest selection of 7-passenger vehicles. Get KBB's 2017 Best Buy Award overall winner, the Chrysler Pacifica, for just $23,999. Or get off-road capability with the comfort of an SUV in your new Jeep Compass for just $17,999. Drive away in a new Dodge Journey for as little as $16,999. Better prices, bigger selection. Go to Sunset Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram in Sarasota.
Here's something we bet you didn't know. Nearly half of all cancers can be prevented. That's right, half. Nearly 50%, mostly by making small everyday changes in your diet and controlling your weight, walking more, eating less, and eating foods that help you and your family to seriously reduce the risk of cancer. And of course, by not smoking. Visit the Cancer Prevention Together We Can website and get a free 30-day planner filled with tips, recipes, stats, and more about protecting your family. Go to prevent50.org.
This is the story of a boy who is very sensitive to lights and sounds. So he built secret hiding places where nothing could get in. The boy didn't like looking people in the eye. It made him feel uncomfortable. One day, he found out he had something called autism. His family got him help, and slowly, he learned how to live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
My name is Blake. I received a heart transplant when I was 2 weeks old. I play defense for the Red Hot Tornadoes. Sometimes my heart starts pounding like faster and faster as I go. I know I have someone else's heart inside me. It makes me feel happy because someone was generous enough to give me a second chance to live.
This gift of life was made possible by an organ donor. Imagine what you could make possible. Sign up as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. Go to organdonor.gov.
My name is Stephen Jaffe. The law firm's name is Farmer Jaffe. One of the beautiful things about Julius is he's always smiling, and it becomes infectious. The fact that Julius has a disability has absolutely nothing to do with the quality of work that he's done. Just a great person you want on your staff.
Hi, this is Dan Marino. When your business recruits people with disabilities, everybody wins. To find out how, go to disabilitieswork.employflorida.com.
Check out My Suncoast Dining on mysuncoast.com, your guide to the foodie lifestyle. ABC 7's own Chef Judy serves up her favorite recipes, cooking tips and trends, dining blogs, step-by-step videos, and Suncoast Restaurant Guide. You'll find it all at mysuncoast.com/dining. Get breaking news alerts focused on the Suncoast. Download the ABC 7 News app.
Welcome back. ABC 7 wants to make sure that you are ready for the day.
Here are the top 7 things you need to know, starting with John Scalzi's first alert foggy forecast. John?
Well, I think you need to know that there's a little bit of patchy fog out there, certainly, and in places it is dense, but once the fog burns off, we're in for a beautiful week ahead. Warm days, about average, or maybe even a little above average each and every day this work week. Dry this work week as well, with maybe the next chance of rain Friday, and lots of sunshine. Those are your takeaways.
First alert traffic. There is an issue right now. If you're heading southbound on I-75, you'll see a problem there around Kings Highway, an accident in the southbound lanes in Charlotte County. Number 3 to Marla Spence. Marla.
Sarasota Sheriff Tom Knight is hoping school officials here at the Sarasota County School District makes a decision on one of 2 school safety programs following Governor Rick Scott's Marjorie Douglas Public Safety Act. That decision might be made today.
All right, number 4, more on that now. Governor Scott is giving the schools a timetable for security upgrades. They're part of the state's response to that fatal shooting last month of 17 students and staff at Stoneman Douglas High School in Broward County.
Number 5, the latest report from the CDC says that when it comes to the flu this season, B viruses are being reported more than the A strain. And yes, it is possible to get the flu again this season. And if you haven't gotten a flu shot, it is not too late to get one.
Number 6, a big sailing event kicks off today on the Suncoast. More than 100 of the nation's best sailors will take part in the 2018 Flying Scot Midwinter Championships.
And finally, number 7, what's trending? A new gig for actor Tom Hardy. According to The Hollywood Reporter, he is taking on the role of the notorious gangster Al Capone. This is him actually in costume right now. He released a bunch of these shots from the New Orleans set on his official Instagram page this weekend, showing him in full Scarface mode. The movie has a working title of Fonzo right now. No release date set just yet. But I love the idea of someone like Tom Hardy taking on someone like Al Capone. And they're going to reveal exactly why he was called Scarface back in the day. And how he only liked to have one side of his face photographed in pictures. Right? He's very self-conscious of that scar.
I love true stories, biopics.
I do too, especially about gangsters. That's
he
just
had
me.
a home in St. Petersburg, Al Capone.
He did.
Does everyone live in Florida?
Seems that way.
Apparently so.
If I can interrupt you too, this is a live picture of Siesta Key Beach.
We're talking gangsters, right?
Have a great Monday.